I was halfway up the stairs when they just weren't there anymore. 1 second, I was climbing, my hand on the banister, my foot pressed to the next step, and the next, my knee slammed against hardwood. I was on the floor, at the bottom, like I'd never moved at all. But here's the thing, the house is round. A perfect circle. You can see every angle from the center. There's nowhere to hide stairs, nowhere they could go. And yet when I stood up, my hand was still curled like it was gripping the railing. I could still feel the cool imprint of wood in my palm. I told myself I must have zoned out. Sleepwalking, maybe. But as I walked back into the living room, I noticed something in the reflection of the big round window, a shape standing behind me. Not a person, taller, thinner, a shadow that bent the light in ways it shouldn't have. When I spun around, the room was empty. But my dog, the black mutt I adopted from the shelter, was sitting dead still in the corner, facing that spot. Not wagging, not panting, just staring at the air where the shadow had been. And that was the first time I heard the voice. A whisper, flat and toneless, from nowhere and everywhere at once. "You're in the wrong house." I froze, every hair on my body standing up. The whisper wasn't loud. It was like the static hum of a dead radio channel buried inside my skull. My first instinct was to grab my phone, but when I pulled it from my pocket, the screen flickered, lines of text appearing that I hadn't typed. "Do you see her yet?" I dropped the phone. My dog let out this low, warbling growl I'd never heard from him before, then padded toward the front door. His nails tapped on the wood floor, slow, deliberate, like he was being careful not to draw attention. I should have followed him, should have grabbed my keys and run. Instead, I found myself drifting back to the stairs, the ones that weren't there anymore. I touched the wall where the banister should have been. Smooth, seamless, like it had never existed. And that's when I saw movement in the glass of the round window again. Not the tall shadow this time. A woman, pale, thin, dressed in an old-fashioned nurse's uniform, the kind you only see in grainy black and white photos. She was standing in the middle of the road outside, under the streetlight. Except there is no road outside my house. Not anymore. I pressed my face to the glass, trying to convince myself it was a trick of the reflection, but no, it was real. Outside the window was a long stretch of cracked asphalt, lined with leafless trees that didn't belong there. A rural road that hadn't been there yesterday. The nurse stood beneath the flickering streetlight, her cap tilted slightly forward, obscuring her eyes. Her hands were clasped in front of her apron, but they twitched every few seconds, like she was trying, and failing, to stay still. I backed away from the glass. My dog let out a sharp bark, then whimpered, pressing himself against my leg. That's when the phone lit up again on the floor. I didn't touch it, just crouched down and watched words scroll across the cracked screen on their own. "Don't look at her face. Don't let her in." The words repeated 3 times, then the phone went black. The lights in the living room dimmed at the same time, buzzing like they were about to give out. And in that humming dark, I heard something scrape against the outside wall. Slow, heavy, like nails, or maybe claws, dragging in a circle around the house. I realized what it was. Whatever was out there was following the curve of the house, looking for a way in. The scraping stopped right beneath the window. Silence. I held my breath, waiting, and that's when I heard it. A wet, rattling inhale. Someone, or something, was breathing on the other side of the glass. My dog snapped. He lunged at the window, barking and snarling, his whole body shaking. For a split second, I thought he was going to hurl himself straight through the glass. But then he froze. Not like he calmed down. Like something stopped him. His body went rigid, his jaw locked mid-bark, and his eyes rolled white. He stood there, vibrating, a low whine stuck in his throat. And from the corner of my eye, I saw her again. The nurse. Inside this time. Not moving. Just there. Standing in the middle of the living room like she'd always belonged. Her head was tilted slightly to one side, the way people do when they're studying something under a microscope. I couldn't look at her face. I knew I shouldn't. My phone had warned me, so I stared at her hands instead. They weren't clasped anymore. They were twitching faster now, blurring, like she had too many fingers to count. The lights flickered once, twice, and the stairs were back. The stairs hadn't just come back. They looked different. Narrower, steeper, the banister warped like it had been soaked in water. But they were there, leading up into the dark. The nurse didn't move. She just twitched in place, hands blurring faster and faster until it looked like a fan blade. My dog whimpered again, still locked in that awful stiff posture, as if he was waiting for me to decide. And that's when I felt it. A pull. Not physical, not like someone grabbed me. More like gravity had changed direction. The stairs weren't in front of me anymore. They were above me, sucking at me, begging me to climb. I dug my nails into the wall, refusing to move. My heart was slamming in my chest so loud I couldn't hear my own thoughts. The phone lit up again on the floor at my feet. This time, the message was short. Go up, or she'll follow. The nurse twitched once, sharp as a glitch in a video, and in that split second she was closer, 2 feet nearer without having moved. I couldn't help it. I bolted for the stairs. And as soon as my foot hit the first step, I heard her whisper in my ear, hot and cold at the same time. Wrong house. Wrong house. Wrong house. The climb felt endless. Every step creaked under my weight, groaning like the wood was alive. The air grew heavier, thicker, the way it feels in an attic during summer. Except it was winter, and I could see my breath fogging in front of me. I didn't dare look down. I knew if I did, the nurse would be closer. Maybe already on the stairs. Maybe underneath them. Halfway up, the house shifted. That's the only way I can describe it. The steps tilted, the walls bent inward, and suddenly the staircase wasn't curving gently along the inside of a circle anymore. It was spiraling into a sharp, impossible twist. My head spun, my stomach lurched, but the pull upward was stronger than gravity. My hand brushed something on the banister. Not wood, not smooth. It was damp. I looked down and my palm was streaked red. Blood. And then I heard it again, the scraping claws. Only this time, they weren't outside. They were above me, circling somewhere in the darkness of the landing. My dog was still downstairs, frozen in place. I wanted to call for him, but the words caught in my throat when I heard the thing upstairs breathe. It wasn't the nurse. It was bigger. The breath above me rattled through the dark like a furnace trying to start. I froze mid-step. My hand still slick with blood on the banister, my chest heaving. If I moved, it would hear me. If I didn't, the pull would drag me closer anyway. And then, movement. 2 pinpricks of light appeared in the dark ahead. Not glowing. Exactly. More like the absence of dark, carved out into the shape of eyes. They blinked once. And when they opened again, the eyes weren't where they had been. They were lower. Closer. I forced myself to take another step. The stare groaned loud enough to make me flinch. The thing growled. Not like an animal. Not like anything I'd ever heard. It was layered, wrong, like a recording played backward and forward at the same time. And with the growl came the sound of claws, not scraping now but tapping, impatient, on the landing. My phone buzzed in my pocket. Against my better judgment, I pulled it out. The screen glitched, white static filling the display, before words forced themselves through. Don't call it by name. I didn't know what that meant. I didn't want to know. But then it stepped into the faint spill of light from below. A dog. Or at least, that's what it wanted me to think. Because its legs bent the wrong way, and its jaw split open too wide, stretching into a black void that swallowed the light whole. The void dog stood at the landing, its body flickering between shapes like a bad signal. One moment it was a mangy mutt, the next its skin rippled into something hairless and stretched, limbs bending too many ways. But the mouth stayed the same, an open pit that drank the light straight out of the air. I gripped the banister tighter. My hand slid in more blood. Warm this time. Fresh. The thing lowered its head, like it was about to lunge. And then, behind me, the nurse's whisper slithered up the staircase. Don't look at its face. The words were wrong in her mouth, distorted, overlapping with that static voice I'd heard before. I whipped my head back down the steps. She was there again, only halfway up now, closer than I'd let myself imagine. Her hands twitched so fast they blurred into pale fans at her sides. I was trapped. Nurse below, void dog above. The air tightened, pressure building in my ears until it felt like my skull would crack. My phone lit up one last time, clutched in my shaking hand. Choose. The screen shattered in my palm without me touching it, the glass slicing into my skin. And both of them moved at once. I didn't have time to think. The nurse twitched up the stairs in a single, jerking lurch, her body folding in on itself like broken film reels spliced together. At the same moment, the void dog launched forward, claws striking sparks off the warped wood. I ducked. Pure instinct. My knees gave out, and I slammed to the floorboards, arms over my head. For a second, just one, they collided. The air cracked like glass shattering in slow motion. I swear I saw them overlap, melt into each other, the nurse's twitching hands disappearing into the black pit of the dog's mouth. Her cap fluttered into the air, then vanished like ash. The thing howled, a noise so deep it vibrated through my ribs. Then everything went silent. I opened my eyes. The stairs were gone. I was lying flat on the living room floor, staring at the round window. My dog, the real one, was beside me, no longer frozen. He licked at my bleeding palm, whining softly. Outside the window, the road was still there. The cracked asphalt, the leafless trees. But now the nurse stood directly beneath the streetlight again. And this time, she was holding something. A phone. My phone. She lifted the phone slowly, like she knew I was watching. Even through the glass, I recognized it. It was mine, cracked screen and all, glowing faintly in her hand. The streetlight above her buzzed and flickered. Each time it dimmed, she was closer. Not walking. Just closer, skipping forward in sharp frames, like a bad video buffering. My real phone, the one I thought had shattered, was still in pieces on the floor next to me. I picked it up anyway, my hands shaking, half cut from the glass. The screen lit up instantly, though the cracks were gone. Perfect. Whole. And then a new message appeared. She has the original. My breath caught in my throat. Original what? The phone? The me? The nurse twitched beneath the streetlight, then raised the device to her ear like she was listening. A moment later, my phone buzzed in my hand. Incoming call. From me. My dog started barking furiously, but the sound was wrong. Echoing, distorted, like it wasn't really coming from him. The call kept buzzing. Answer. Decline. Answer. Decline. Each time I hesitated, the nurse moved closer to the house. I let it ring. Every vibration rattled through my bones, louder than it should have been, like the whole house was humming with it. My dog's barking warped into sharp bursts of static, his jaw opening and closing out of sync with the sound. On the fifth ring, the window fogged over from the outside. A single handprint pressed against the glass. Too pale, too long-fingered. I almost dropped the phone, but the buzzing stopped on its own. The screen went black. For one hopeful second, I thought it was over. Then it lit back up. The camera. Front-facing. I was staring at myself, except not me. My reflection wasn't moving right. While I froze in place on the living room floor, the thing on the screen tilted its head, slow and deliberate. Its eyes were too dark, swallowing the glow of the phone screen, and when it smiled, my lips stayed shut. A new message scrolled across the bottom of the display. Let me in. At the same time, the lights in the house went out. Not a flicker, just gone. Black. In the glass of the round window, I could see her silhouette now. The nurse, standing inches away on the other side. And the stairs behind me creaked like someone was climbing down them. The creaking above me didn't make sense. The stairs were gone. I had seen them vanish. But the sound was unmistakable. Heels on wood, steady, deliberate, growing closer. My dog crouched low, tail between his legs, teeth bared toward the empty space where the staircase should have been. I gripped the phone tighter, but the reflection on the screen was wrong again. Now it wasn't just me. It was me walking down the stairs that weren't there, step by step, head tilted at the same unnatural angle the nurse always held. The real room stayed empty, but I could hear it. Breath, weight shifting, the brush of fabric. My double was descending, even if I couldn't see it with my eyes. The nurse tapped the window, sharp and rhythmic, like she was keeping time with the footsteps. My dog yelped and backed into the corner, ears flat, staring between the glass and the empty air. The phone buzzed again. Another message appeared under my smiling double. You can't stay split forever. The last creak was right behind me. I didn't want to turn around, but I felt hot breath on the back of my neck. I turned. I shouldn't have. The space where the stairs had been was bending, folding, like the house was trying to remember itself wrong. And on that warped slope stood me. Same clothes, same cuts on the hand, same wild eyes. But the skin on its face twitched, glitching, like the nurse's hands. It smiled. My teeth didn't move, but its did. Too many. I stumbled backward, nearly dropping the phone, but the window was at my back now. I could feel the cold radiating through the glass, and when I risked a glance, the nurse was gone. Gone from outside. That's when my double spoke. Not with sound, through the phone. Its mouth moved, and the words scrolled across the screen in real time. I'm the one who went upstairs. The house groaned deep in its bones, the round walls tightening, the ceiling dipping lower. My dog bolted into the hallway, nails skittering on the wood, but before I could follow, the double twitched forward, one sharp, broken frame step closer. I lifted the shattered phone like it might protect me. The reflection still showed me, but not here. Me somewhere else. A road, the cracked asphalt, the leafless trees. And in that reflection, the nurse was standing at my side, holding my hand. The phone pulsed hot in my hand, the glow washing everything in pale light. My reflection on the screen was clearer now, me standing on that impossible road, hand in hand with the nurse. Her twitching had stopped in the reflection. She looked calm, like she belonged there, like I belonged there. But in the real room, my double twitched again. Closer. Its jaw cracked open just slightly too wide, and from somewhere deep inside, I heard the same layered growl as the void dog. The house seemed to lean with it, pulling me toward the warped space where the stairs weren't. My knees buckled. The screen buzzed with a new line of text, forcing itself across my reflection's face. Choose a side. I tried to look away, but the phone screen burned brighter, searing into my vision. I saw the road, the trees, the flickering streetlight. I could smell the wet asphalt, feel the cold nurse's hand clutching mine. And then, behind me in the real house, the window shattered. Glass sprayed across the floor, the sudden winter air slamming into me. My dog barked once, high and panicked, before his voice cut off like someone pressed mute. I didn't need to look to know what had come through. The nurse wasn't outside anymore. Cold fingers wrapped around my wrist. I screamed and tried to jerk away, but the grip was iron, unyielding. I finally looked, and there she was, the nurse, up close. Her uniform was damp, stained darker at the hem, and her head was still tilted like she was studying me. I couldn't see her face. I wouldn't. My eyes locked on her hand, crushing my wrist. Her skin felt wrong, papery thin, but pulsing underneath, like veins full of static. Behind her, my double twitched closer, its grin tearing wider, teeth crowding its mouth until the skin split at the corners. My phone buzzed violently in my other hand. The screen shook, glitched, until two words scrawled jagged across the glass. Go with her, or stay with it. The nurse's grip tightened, yanking me a step closer to the shattered window and the road waiting beyond. The air smelled like rain on asphalt now, sharp and metallic. My knees hit broken glass, but I didn't feel the cuts. My double raised a hand. My hand, bloodied, shaking, reaching for me. And for the first time, I heard its voice out loud. Stay. It sounded exactly like me. For a heartbeat, I couldn't breathe. Nurse dragging me one way, double reaching the other, both of them pulling me apart like a wishbone. My chest felt like it might split in two. Then, low, rattling, familiar, the void dog's growl rolled through the house. All three of us froze. The air thickened, vibrating with the sound, dust trembling loose from the ceiling. From the dark where the stairs had been, it stepped out again, its shape broken, shifting, the void in its jaw swallowing what little light was left. My double faltered. Its grin twitched, faltered, then snapped too wide again like a reflex. The nurse's fingers spasmed around my wrist, her twitching hands vibrating faster than ever, as if she couldn't hold me steady. The phone buzzed in my cut palm. A new message scrolled across, the letters smeared like they were written in blood. It feeds on the wrong choice. The void dog's mouth opened wider, impossibly wider, and I swear I saw pieces of the house, bits of the walls, the ceiling, stretching toward it, bending like gravity itself was being pulled inside. My dog whimpered once from the hallway, then vanished into the dark, his nails scraping the floor like he was being dragged. The nurse yanked me harder toward the window. My double grabbed my shoulder, cold and solid. The void dog took another step closer. The house bent around us. Walls groaned, the round frame warping inward as if the void dog's hunger was rewriting the geometry. My phone vibrated so violently it felt like it might shatter in my hand again. The nurse yanked at me, pulling toward the jagged window and that impossible road. My double clamped down harder, nails digging into my shoulder, dragging me toward the warped stair space. And then the floor itself shifted. Boards splintered, sliding toward the black pit of the dog's mouth like water circling a drain. I screamed, trying to dig my heels into the buckling wood. Glass cut deeper into my knees. The nurse hissed something in my ear, garbled, too fast, overlapping words. But one phrase looped clear through the static. I can take you back. At the same time, my double leaned close enough that I felt its breath against my face, warm and rancid. Its smile didn't move when it spoke, but my own voice came out of its mouth. I can keep you here. The pull toward the void dog grew unbearable. The walls bent, the ceiling cracked, dust pouring down in sheets. My phone lit up one last time, letters jagged and bleeding across the glass. Pick now. The nurse's grip. The double's grip. The void yawning wider. I opened my mouth to scream again. And then the floor gave way. I fell. Not down, not up, just out. The house tore itself apart around me, boards stretching into splinters of light, furniture unraveling like threads yanked from a loom. My stomach lurched as if gravity had forgotten what direction it wanted to pull me in. For a second, I felt both hands still clutching me. The nurse's cold, papery grip on my wrist. My double's jagged nails in my shoulder. Both pulling, both refusing to let go. Then the void dog opened wider beneath me. The world screamed as it bent into that endless black throat. And one grip slipped. I didn't see which. I just knew suddenly I was holding only one hand. My other arm flailed, empty, reaching into nothing. The falling stopped. My feet hit cracked asphalt. My knees buckled on wet pavement. I looked up, gasping, and there it was. The road. The leafless trees. The flickering streetlight. The air stank of rain and static. The hand in mine squeezed once, sharp enough to grind bone. I forced myself to look. It wasn't the nurse. It wasn't my double. It was me. Another me. Standing on the road, smiling wide, lips moving a beat behind my own. My chest locked. I tried to pull free, but the grip was stronger than bone, stronger than muscle. My other self held my hand like a shackle. Up close, it wasn't right. The skin was too smooth, stretched tight over the jaw, and the smile never reached the eyes. The eyes were empty, like holes punched through the world. Its lips moved again, just a second late, and my own voice came out, distorted through invisible speakers. Now you understand. The road stretched behind it, endless in both directions, disappearing into the dark. No sound, no crickets, no wind, just the faint hum of the streetlight above us. I stammered out, where is this? The other me blinked, too slow. My voice answered from its throat. Home. The streetlight flickered. In the brief blackout, the trees had moved closer, leaning inward, their branches arching over the asphalt like ribs closing around a body. And then I heard it again. That guttural, layered growl. Not far this time. The void dog was on the road. My double. No. This version of me squeezed my hand tighter, smile tearing wider, teeth multiplying behind the lips. Don't look back, it said. But the growl was already at my back. The grip on my hand was crushing now, tendons grinding, bones threatening to snap. My other self leaned close, the perfect mask of my face stretched into that impossible grin. Don't look back. The growl behind me deepened, vibrating through the asphalt. My legs trembled, the wet pavement slicked beneath my knees. I could feel the breath at my neck, hot, rancid, pulling the air right out of my lungs. I wanted to obey, to keep my eyes locked forward, pretend this road was real, pretend I could belong here. But something inside me broke. Maybe survival, maybe defiance, maybe just desperation. I turned, and there it was. Not the void dog, not the nurse, not even the warped house, just blackness. A mouth wider than the sky, swallowing the trees, the road, the light. And at the very center, hanging like a lantern in the dark, was a face. My face. Eyes wide, mouth stretched in silent scream, floating inside the void. The hand holding mine went limp. When I looked back, the other me was gone. The road was gone. I was standing in the center of the roundhouse again. No windows. No doors. Just walls curving forever. And somewhere in the dark, claws began to scrape a circle around me.